If you've been watching high-level no out of bounds speedruns of Jak 3 recently, you might have noticed something strange happening in the Precursor robot fight.
That looks good. Got it.
This is robot skip. It saves almost 50 seconds with the most optimal route, and around 40 if you go the recommended route. Before this discovery, runners had to sit through what was essentially an auto-scroller at the tail end of the run, with little to no skill being expressed during the fight. It was just a waiting game. Dodge the lasers, kill the goons, jump on the third pillar, repeat 3 times. Now, we can skip this relatively boring section and get to the late game faster than ever before. At first, standing on the robot seems like a daunting task. How are you supposed to time a hover and land on top of him without falling off? Well, luckily for us, there's a giant invisible wall behind him that makes it a breeze. Just hold forward and towards his head after you end a hover and try to time a spin when you're about to land. Once you find your footing and you're sure you won't slip off, transform into Dark Jak. Now, wait until the third pillar starts to rise. You want to time your Dark Bomb to hit around the time the fourth pillar is starting to rise or is rising. The timing is relatively lenient, but err on the side of early rather than late. If the cutscene for the middle bomb cart falling starts playing, then you know you've gotten the skip. The invisible wall will be gone, allowing you to jetboard to the elevator. After the skip is performed, the game doesn't actually update the flag for killing the final boss, so the game still technically thinks you're in Act 1. This makes the skip only viable for no out of bounds, as it breaks the rules for all missions and 100%. Another issue with this is that Haven City doesn't fully load. Samos and Kira are not present at the White Barrier, and neither is the cutscene trigger. Side missions are also, unfortunately, not loaded. Remember the optimal and semi-optimal routes I mentioned at the beginning? This is where they come in. The most optimal and infinitely more difficult one goes through the route without doing BTR on jetboard. BTR on jetboard was a previously known trick not viable for runs that was found and routed out by Dex. This trick was recently made viable to perform by a new method found by the Xanderful. This method involves activating a side mission before entering ruins, which cannot be done directly after robot skip. However, the two tricks can still be combined by entering ruins and hitting the cutscene trigger to perform what is known as a percentage warp, where you enter a mission early, making the game automatically correct your placement in the mission order, giving you access to everything unlocked in the missions you skipped. This allows us to backtrack into a fully loaded Haven City, activate a side mission, enter ruins again, and perform the BTR skip. This backtracking is very slow because the game forces you to get off the jetboard when walking through the tunnel between ruins and Haven City. It's actually slow enough that a perfectly executed ruin split and a high-level BTR split with final barrier skip is technically 10 seconds faster. But so far no one has gone for that route due to its immense difficulty compared to just doing BTR on jetboard. Alright, that's all for now, but before we go, you might be wondering who found this skip. Well, it's the same person that's editing this video. Me. But I'll refrain from stroking my ego and making this video longer than it should be by getting into some shoutouts. Well, I only have 2, but they're important nonetheless. Shouts out to Stellar for making the amazing comparison video they did. If you're interested in the exact timings for each of the tricks, go check it out. And shout out to Wotan for finding the timing of the Dark Bomb so quickly after the trick's discovery by testing it out on stream. Link to their Twitch below. And speaking of below, let me know if you want a more in-depth video on either BTR skip or RoboSkip. I decided to not actually include that information here because RoboSkip is so new that my explanation might actually be wrong, and I don't want to go spreading misinformation out there. Oh, and if you're interested in running the game or have any questions, feel free to join the Jak Discord linked below. But other than that, see you next time.